peek over their shoulders and ask if I could help with anything, no matter how small. Eventually, they gave me the chance to lead and launch a new product feature for Firefox. Collaborating with those engineers and designers to create something new fueled a fire in me. I had finally found what I was meant to do. What I learned at Mozilla taught me enough to be recruited to a little-known startup as its first head of product development. That startup grew into Groupon. Within 2 years, we employed more than 10,000 people around the globe. We were making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. We were growing faster than Google, faster than Facebook, faster than Apple. A Forbes magazine cover named Groupon the fastest growing company ever. The company went public in the largest IPO by a US internet company since Google. Then it all came crashing down. Within 1 year, Groupon lost nearly 85% of its market value, plunging from a high of $13 billion to less than $3 billion. The co-founder and CEO, Andrew Mason, who hired and took a chance on me, was fired and replaced. It was time for me to leave Groupon too. After years of working inside other startups, I realized what I really wanted, but had been afraid to do, was to start my own. I now had the experience and what I believed was a winning idea. But I was struggling to get other people excited about the vision. Meanwhile, every day I'd read about new founders receiving funding and wonder, why not me? Even in Silicon Valley, the land of ideas, I was starting to feel the same frustration I had felt sitting in a cubicle in Detroit. I was waiting for someone to pay attention, waiting to be discovered. More than a year later, standing stage left at FailCon, I felt my phone vibrate. It was my brother, Sanjay. He's an Emmy Award-winning television reporter, a New York Times best-selling author, and a neurosurgeon to boot. I'm still trying to make my dad proud. Well, he's done enough to make an entire subcontinent of fathers proud. Call you back, I texted. I too was very busy. I was about to keynote a conference on failure. I got through my speech as quickly as possible. Scanning the crowd opportunistically for investors, I somehow missed the reporter scribbling notes. More than a year passed, and I had completely forgotten about FailCon. By that point, I had recruited a small team to work with me on Rise, but the idea still hadn't gained traction. We were struggling to find customers and rapidly running out of money. My co-founder and I needed to raise funding so that we could expand our team, release a great product, and build fruitful partnerships. And if we didn't find that money soon, my startup dream was over. Then something happened that changed everything. It was a Saturday morning and I overheard my wife, Lena, on the phone with her mother. "No, we're not moving home, Mom," she said. "Yes, I know San Francisco is very expensive." When I walked into the room, Lena was holding that day's New York Times open to a full-length story on failure with my face at the top. I had seen mugshots that were more flattering. The piece went viral. If you Googled failure at the time, one of your top results would be a full-length Times article featuring me. I had spent an entire career trying to craft an image of success. Now I was the poster child for defeat. My inbox was jammed with consolation messages. My parents offered to help pay that month's rent. Old law school professors reached out to help me find a real job. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years simply messaged, "Are you okay?" Realizing I could no longer hide behind a fake it till you make it attitude of success, I decided to give this new identity a try. I began emailing highly successful people using the Times article to break the ice. I'd write things like, "As you can see from the article below, I don't know what I'm doing. Would you be willing to grab coffee and give me some advice?" It worked. That article paved the way to hundreds of open, honest conversations with fascinating people. Founders of unicorn status startups, producers of Oscar-winning films, culinary icons, members of Congress, executives at iconic companies like Lego and Pixar, even military leaders at the Pentagon. In the end, I was left with a life-altering discovery. People who change the world around them aren't just brilliant. They're backable. They have a seemingly mysterious superpower that lies at the intersection of creativity and persuasion.